1982, I first arrived in this country, but it wasn't called Kyrgyzstan yet. It was the Soviet Union, and the capital city was named Frunze. More than 40 years later, I have returned, not as a student traveler crossing the USSR, but as a language lover and cultural explorer, to see what has changed and what has not. On July 31st, 2024, we landed in Bishkek, a city many travelers overlook, but one that quietly preserves layers of Central Asian, Russian, and nomadic history. For the first 2 days, we stayed in the capital, rented a car, and simply walked. And walking turned out to be the best introduction possible. Bishkek is not a dramatic city. It does not overwhelm you like Samarkand, Istanbul, or Beijing. Instead, it reveals itself slowly. Wide boulevards, Soviet civic buildings, tree-lined streets designed for a very different era, when this was a planned socialist capital in the foothills of the Tian Shan mountains. What struck me immediately was how green the city is. Bishkek is sometimes called one of the most forested capitals in the world. The canals running along the streets carry mountain water directly into the city, a legacy of Soviet urban planning in Central Asia. When I first visited in 1982, everything felt rigid, controlled, and official. Today, the atmosphere is relaxed. Families stroll in the evening, teenagers gather in plazas, and cafes serve espresso next to traditional tea. The Soviet architecture remains, but the feeling has changed completely. Only about an hour outside Bishkek, the city suddenly disappears. We drove south into the Tian Shan mountains to Ala-Archa National Park, the place where Bishkek residents escape the summer heat. And this is where you truly understand Kyrgyzstan. The nomadic world never really vanished here, it just adapted. The river we saw is glacial meltwater, flowing down from peaks over 4,000 meters high. The milky color comes from finely ground rock, glacier-made stone powder carried all the way down the valley. Many visitors begin serious hikes here to waterfalls, glaciers, and alpine huts. For most of their history, the Kyrgyz were not city dwellers at all. They were pastoral nomads. Instead of permanent villages, families moved seasonally with their animals, horses, sheep, and cattle, between winter valleys and high summer pastures called Jelu. When the heat arrives in the lowlands, the grass dries. But up here in the Tian Shan mountains, water flows constantly from glaciers, and the pastures remain green all summer, so entire communities would migrate upward, setting up yurts and living for months in these valleys. The landscape you're seeing here was not wilderness to them, it was home. The juniper trees covering the slopes are called Archa in Kyrgyz, and that's actually where the park's name comes from, Ala-Archa, the colorful juniper valley. For centuries, these valleys were part of migration routes. Horses grazed here. Children grew up riding before they could properly walk. Hospitality became essential because in the mountains, any traveler might need shelter. That tradition still survives today. Even now, if you stop near a yurt in summer pasture areas elsewhere in the country, you will almost always be invited for tea. During the Soviet period, the nomadic lifestyle was forcibly changed. People were settled into villages and collective farms. Many traditions nearly disappeared. But what's remarkable in Kyrgyzstan is that the connection to the mountains never vanished. Even city residents still come here constantly, not as tourists, but almost as a weekly ritual. In fact, Ala-Archa functions almost like a public park for Bishkek, except instead of lawns and playgrounds, you have glaciers, 4,000-meter peaks, and alpine rivers. Before leaving, we simply sat near the river and listened. The sound you hear is glacier water, melted ice that may have been frozen for hundreds of years only days ago. That constant movement of water has shaped both the land and the people. Back in Bishkek, we had our first taste of Kyrgyz cuisine. Meals here are simple but deeply traditional. Soup, bread, fresh vegetables, and tea. Historically, food needed to be filling and practical for a pastoral lifestyle.
If you would like to know more about my experience over the past 5 decades, learning and using more than 30 languages around the globe, with adventures in 101 countries so far, then please visit my website, polyglotdreams.com. There you will find my memoir, A Life in 30 Languages, translated in various languages and integrated with audio and dual readers to offer a great way to improve your target languages.